Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to 21 Hunting and Fishing. And this will probably be my last video on land nav, but there's one thing that's pretty important to cover, and that's bypassing obstacles. And one other thing that I want to cover more for fun is some online resources and a cool website that I was introduced to several years ago, and I want to show it to you guys. So, bypassing obstacles when you're land navving. By the way, this is the last video in a series. So, if you haven't seen the first four, I think there's four now, go back and take a look. So, when you shoot an azimuth and you're going some distance, it's not always a clear path to where you want to go. And one pitfall that people get hung up on land navving is they typically start to follow an easy path, even though that might not be their azimuth that they're supposed to go on, and they slowly drift off course and they don't realize it. That's not good. But sometimes you have to get off course on purpose because of a situation like this where you have, in this case, a pond in a swampy area at the right in the way of your azimuth. In this case, it's a 90-degree azimuth. So what do? First, you need to typically turn 90 degrees. Why 90 degrees? Because as you're traveling from, this case, west to east, you're traveling a certain distance, right? And then you stop. The reason why you want to go 90 degrees around the object is because now you put your pace count on hold and you're not gaining distance towards your destination. Once you get to this point here where you have a clear path past the obstacle, now you want to count your paces again, because this part right here plus where you came from and then the remaining distance all counts towards your pace count, the distance towards your destination. So, and as you can see here, we talked about back azimuth. So if you're going directly south 180 degrees, counting your paces, you're past the obstacle. Now you want to, first you need to shoot a back azimuth from the 180, right? So that's 360. Then you want to count your paces on this portion of going around the obstacle. Your paces on this portion of the obstacle, going back north in this case, has to equal your paces you counted going south. Why? Because if you say you stopped here, yeah, I think I'm on track again, and then you shot a 90-degree azimuth, your original azimuth, you can see that you would be off by whatever distance this would be. So this can put a wrench in your land nav, but just keep track, trust your instruments, trust your pace count, and you should be all set. This happened to me once when I was at TBS. I had a really good attack point, shot an azimuth, and they built this building right in the middle of my azimuth. So I had to go around the building. In that case, it was just a square object. It made it somewhat easy, but in a case like this, it's a little more complicated. You get this weird shaped pond. It's really hard to tell exactly, where this is right here. This part of your azimuth compared to this part. But always keep this pace count, and don't just get to the edge in this case and see what's over here. Because once you get over here, things are going to look different. So you have to keep your pace count. The distance traveled here has to equal this, and only this section, and this will be your pace count towards your destination. Also, you may not be able to see straight across whatever this obstacle is, so that's another reason why it's really important to know what this distance is. Keep nice 90-degree angles, and that way it's a little bit more straightforward. So that's how you go around obstacle. The other thing I really want to cover a little bit more for fun, though it is a good resource. Again, this series is meant to be able to help you while you're in the field and not really in front of a computer or anything like that. But there are some things you can do to prepare yourself for going to the field, and you can look online. There's a whole bunch of resources. One of those that I used when I was in the military was this website called hogops.com, HAWG-OPS.com. You start it, you get there, it looks something like this, all these different shapes, colors, what have you on the map. But the reason why I like this website is because you can always get up to a 10-digit grid, and there's a couple other map datums as well, but the only one that I really understand is this one, so that's the only one I'm going to talk about. And this is basically like a Google Maps type thing. If you you zoom in somewhere and you click on this little measuring device right here, you can click somewhere else. It gives you the magnetic declination. It gives you the same thing in mils, but remember, we're not talking about mils right now. It talks about the leg. So it's 953 meters, over 3,000 feet, this distance right here. And so it's cool just to play around with. And again, if you have a GPS, you can click anywhere on the map. You can type this into your GPS, and your GPS will get you there. That's the other reason why I want to talk about this. It's also good for just kind of exploring new areas. I'm sure I was trying to look on Google Maps and then Google Earth. So they do have McGirs in Google Earth, and I was following along on the instructions online, and I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't tell if you have to download something in addition to what's just off the shelf offline. But I really didn't look too deep into it because I just knew about this website. So it's fun to play around with hogops.com. Another thing you can do is you can just type in a grid coordinate here, and it will plot it on the map for you. So this is something you can use if you want to, say, plot the different locations of your tree stands exactly in a certain area. You just type in those numbers, plot them, and then you print it out or what have you. I think you could probably save it off online. It's like some sort of project, but I'm not too sure. This website has a lot more capabilities than I am familiar with. It's used for planning, I guess, like close air support and things of that nature. It's completely open source, but there's also really nothing all that secret about it. McGirs in and of itself isn't a classified thing, nor are any map datums. One thing about HogView is it's very, very two-dimensional, right? And so as I was clicking around that, if you click, I clicked on this thing right here, this little target symbol. It took me to this other website called ViperOps, and this is the same plot of land. So what you just saw on the other slide, that point that the white box is pointing to is this little point right here. And so it just gives you a little bit more idea of the contours of the land, and definitely something worth exploring if you're going to an area that you're not familiar with. There's a whole bunch of other tools across the top. You can play with them, but yeah, that's about it. Just a quick one again. So what did we cover? We covered probably the most useful thing is when you're in the field is how to navigate around an obstacle, keeping track of your pace counts, when that pace count contributes towards your final destination and when it doesn't, and using 90 degrees to keep it simple, and always trusting in your compass and your pace count. Talk a little bit about back azimuth. So using the 90 degrees. So in the case where you have to head directly south to get around an object, then you have to head directly north. So that would be 180 degrees south. Back azimuth to that would be 360 degrees or 0 degrees, however you want to say it, directly north. And we talked about a couple online resources that you can play around with and plug in different grid coordinates if you wanted to, say, plot your locations of your tree stands using coordinates that you got from your GPS, or maybe even picked off a hard copy map using the other techniques that I've talked about in the earlier parts of this series. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the land navigation series. I think that's all I'm going to do unless there's other questions. It's fun to get out there with map and compass. And one big thing that I want to leave you all with is do these exercises and you'll start to gain trust in your compass, in your map reading skills, in your protractor. There's so many times that you'll be out there and you feel like you need to go more towards the left, but your compass, for whatever reason, I don't know. They say sometimes if you're right-handed, you typically start to drift right, and you need to always be trusting in your tools, trusting your instruments. I'm not going to cover night land nav the way the military teaches you, because the way the military teaches night land nav is all about light discipline, which doesn't really apply so much if you are hunting or fishing. Now this is land nav, but there are some principles here that you could use on the water, especially say taking back azimuths. If you're out to sea and you see landmarks, so you're not very far out to sea, you can shoot azimuths and take back azimuths to plot your location in the water. Again, that's only if you can see things and you have obviously have a map with you, see land structure or something to that effect. So that is it. Quick video. I hope you enjoyed the land nav series. Let me know if you want to see a little bit more. There's definitely more to cover. All right. Thanks. Talk to you guys later. Bye.